第一個節目就係去品酒，醉到啤啤下，跟住就瞓覺。第日2點先起身，好似老虎仔咁。哦，佢哋都喺度啲 four pan， 哇！呢度估唔到會喺呢度。
You are exposed to many varietals that are actually important for our job, but also not only for us, but also for you to try. Otherwise, we are gonna just limiting ourselves to the usual suspects, varietals, Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, Cabernet Sauvignon, which are absolutely great, but not necessarily what we try to push over here, which also wine, we consider wine as a journey. This is why also we have a wide range of wines available by the glass, which are not necessarily the most recognized wine in the world. Anyway, for those of you who are familiar with tasting wine, there is a book like you were mentioning before, the movie Song, and there is a master who actually wrote a very interesting book about it, his team guys I consider maybe the best wine taster in the world. The title is actually very interesting. The title of this book is Message in the Bottle. So, even by looking at our glasses of wine that we have in front of us, this wine, those wines are sending us messages. That we don't even hear them. You don't have to decode the wine and then try to analyze the wine all the time. We just read it most of the time. But if you want to spend a little bit more time, of course, the color is different. So, if the color is different, what is it saying? That maybe wine is just white grape, but actually white grape can be even be defined by red grapes. There is a different skin color, due to different type of maceration of the skin. So that this is actually determining the color in the rosé. And the other one is a red, but is a red, as we can see, very kind of transparent, which means that there are some substances that maybe this wine is lacking towards other. Usually, I don't want to go too technical about it, but let's, without any more talking, let's grab the first one. As I said, there are 3 parts in wine tasting: is visual examination, olfactory examination, and then finally we taste. So this is when we do the color. When we analyze the color in white wine can range between a greenish type of yellow, greenish yellow to straw yellow, gold, and then go even on more like an orange, almost like a brick and almost like a brown that we usually find in Madeira or Sherry or Rosa, just to give an example. In this case, we see a certain color that I invite you to analyze eventually and tell me what it is, and then we can start discussing what kind of wine maybe we might going to expect after we taste it. Are we looking at gold yellow? Are we looking to more like a straw yellow or even greenish type of style? We check and it could be green. What does it mean? What is the message that the wine is sending us? So green most of the time can be a sign of good climate. Could be also a sign that the winemaker picked the grape and maybe not fully ripe. So maybe there is a little bit of a ripeness. What does it mean if I pick ripe grapes? That possibly the wine that I'm getting can have more acidity than other wine that eventually can be picked at a later stage, so ripe stage. Imagine a Chardonnay from Napa. There is a lot of sunlight there, even 2,800 hours of sunshine during the season. And those grapes, when we pick it, they're absolutely full of sugar. More sugar means less acidity and more potential alcohol that can come after the fermentation. In this case, we have this kind of greenish. So maybe I'm assuming that this wine can possibly come from a cool climate. I think so. Can be. Who would say? We don't make a conclusion right away, but we can say that. Or maybe can we say that even without sniffing the wine swirling the wine, and eventually maybe I'm expecting a good amount of acidity in this wine, possibly. Then we start like swirling the glass. You will see sommelier swirling glass excessively. Like, it's most of the time a show off. I don't recommend, especially with sparkling. When you see even sommeliers swirling the glass, I say, why are you doing that? You are losing carbonation with that. Don't do that. Anyways, like it's just like why we swirl the glass. So first of all, we swirl the glass because in this way we see the legs in a wine. The legs, what it could be, is a tension that actually, the alcohol and all of these components have towards like the glass. So in that way we measure if the more legs we see, the more of those arches we see, possibly the more alcohol we're going to find in our wine. Also, it can be a sign of sugar content. Imagine like a dessert wine. Imagine an ice wine. Imagine a sauterne. If I swirl the glass, I will see a lot of those arches of swirling the glass. So in this case, of course, we're going to have some legs, but am I expecting the type of legs that if I have an Amarone, the Valpolicella here, or I'm expecting, I will say, medium content of wine, I will expect even light content of alcohol. What could be our statement in this case? We swirl the glass.
Light.
Yeah, we are definitely going that direction. So, and then another thing. When it comes to olfactory examination, we swirl the glass because in this way I'm enlarging this circle, okay? And I'm allowing the wine to open up a more aromatic component and be available to my nose. When we analyze on the nose of this wine, of course there are many types of flavor component, aromatic component that come out. It could be apple, could be citrus, could be deliciousness, could be even flowers, could be like also minerality, could be like and also at what stage, if I'm having like a fruit, what stage it is? Is it ripe? Is ripe? Is sour? Is it's baked? Like the sommelier actually, when you have to be very precise. So you don't have to, but like when we want to pass the examination, we have to describe the wine properly. In this case, let's swirl the glass again and try to analyze what type of aromatic component we have. Definitely.
But more like juice and not like baked or...
We are definitely going that direction. I think there is also a little bit of apple, but like in this case, could be more like I'm not saying a green apple, but something that, we can goes definitely into the tart, into the sour, like kind of like acidic type of thing. I know this wine is one of my favorites, but like I always find this wine almost a type of like a spicy component, almost ginger, almost wasabi that comes out, and maybe it's me, could be many times, like what I perceive can be different from what you perceive. And now let's finally have a seat.
For the sommelier point of view, when we taste the wine is actually the useless thing, which I disagree. But because even if I close my nose,
What I can perceive is just, the sour component, the bitter component, the body, if there is alcohol. But even if I close my nose, I'm not able to taste anything. I'm just able to get the textural and structural component of the wine. So, in this case, we are also looking for confirmation from what the producer said. Like, just by looking at the wine, we said that maybe this wine can be a cool climate, no? We say that we are expecting some acidity in this wine. We are expecting a medium body. Did we find that in our mouth all of this, or the wine completely changed? We said, no, actually I disagree. What do we feel? What do we taste? Is this wine acidic? Yes, I would say that it's medium plus
Yeah.
acidity.
Actually sweeter than I thought.
Yeah, this is kind of like, this wine is dry, but like has a very good fruit. So that actually can give you like the perception of like a little bit more sweet, but it's definitely, how is the body of this wine? Are we able to say that like if this wine is 13 is a big deal, and maybe it might be lower in terms of body, in terms of alcohol? Are we able to say that this is a light medium body? And then you know, usually we are sommeliers supposed to say old world, new world. What is the difference? Like old world, Europe.
Yeah.
New world,
But bang, right, bang.
exactly. Like new world, whatever is outside Europe. You know. Then, stylistically speaking, like new world wine are much more a little bit oaky, are a little bit more like wine that are made in a winery. Instead, the other one are more terroir driven. Usually they are more acidic. Usually they are more earthy and mineral. Do we see minerality in this wine? Minerality is one of the most misused terms that we can find. But like, are we able to see a little bit more salinity component? Do we see something modern that can be resumed by oak? Do we get any oak in this wine? I don't see that. Are we going much more into old world or new world?
I would say new.
Old world.
You say old.
Old. Any guess about this grape? Not one of the usual suspects. What can resemble? If I say it's closer to a Chardonnay or it's closer to a Sauvignon Blanc? None of them. But what type of is closer to a Riesling? What are we getting?
Certainly not Chardonnay.
Certainly not Chardonnay. Exactly. I would say it goes a little bit more into a kind of aromatic component closer to Sauvignon Blanc, without being Sauvignon Blanc, but actually genetically is related. So, without any more hesitation, Brunner Berliner from Cantal, Austria, Urquell. We were there, eh?
Yeah.
We were there, and definitely, how do you see this wine in a dinner? Like, you know, every wine has a place. I'm pretty much convinced. You know, sometimes people, wine snob, like they say, oh, you just brought a bottle of Prosecco. And I'm like, there is a place for Prosecco, there is a place for Champagne, there is a place for every wine we taste without judge, and without, like, wine, as I said, is for everyone. And of course, if I pair maybe this wine with a beef stew or venison, maybe I'm not paying as much attention, right? But there is a place where this wine can stay. Like,
fish.
this is the home for this one. If we have to bring it home, you know, the home is like maybe some mussels, some fish, some scallops, all of those seafood. I see this wine being absolutely brilliant and being actually. Do you see this wine outside the pool? If you want to steal wine, very refreshing with this weather outside. I do. This is actually. Let's look at the wine content. 12 We're not talking. This wine is sending us messages, and immediately he said, like, you know, I'm not full body. I'm not like a low acid wine. I'm not like it's just, you know, it's telling us precisely a clear message. And I found this wine absolutely good also because it's almost a culture for this country, Germany, Austria, to make wines that are not full body. Yes, back in the days, you know, at one point, the first time I was actually going more seriously into wine, there was this big wave of full body white, full body red, and those wines were absolutely like too much redundant, too much powerful. there was a Chardonnay made in Sicily, 15.5%. I was like, how can you make this wine like this?
What do you eat? What do you eat with it? Is it just Mr. like it?
I will not eat and I will not drink. It's like for me, like how can you make like a wine that like is so powerful? So you know, consumers were dictating this thing, and wineries in every part of the world were trying to adapt. They always maintain the style, which I like it. You know, 12.5 light. Sometimes I like even full body wines, but like in this case, like they're more balanced. Also, when I first started like enjoying wine, you have to remember like that we were rating full body wines, wine reaching 13 alcohol by volume, which are now medium body, because the full body are occupied by 15, 15.5, 16. Insanely, due to global warming, we are reaching a level of alcohol that is totally not expected. So the wine is changing, and you know, having a wine that is still produced under this range of alcohol is a bless.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So like fermentation stops at a certain percentage of alcohol.
Mhm.
So I mean, there's a ceiling there, right? Like without it being fortified, because you know, like during the fermentation process, if it gets to a certain point, it'll kill off the yeast.
Yeah.
So, like, what is the ceiling? Is it 16.5, is it 17, or is it lower than that?
There are no. You can reach with sherry. You are at the fermentation. You are point like for example, there are two categories of sherry.
Yeah.
With the fino, you just stop and fortify the wine when to reach 15.5.
Yeah.
Then there are wine that can ferment even 16.5. It also depends on the grape. Just to give an example, Grenache, which is the main grape for Châteauneuf du Pape, or even Merlot in right bank Bordeaux, at the same level of ripeness, they can reach more potential alcohol. So they can produce more alcohol than other grapes. So this is why, when we talk about this appellation, I think now that they're aware about the concern about producing wine with too much alcohol.
Okay.
And I strongly believe that in 20, 30 years, that in Bordeaux, much less Merlot will be produced. But it might,
Yeah.
you can come to me in 20 years and say you are wrong. Absolutely. But this is also why they are changing, introducing new grapes in the appellation. Touriga Nacional, they introduce Albarino as a white.
Okay.
Why they do that? Because they are moving much more to late ripener grapes.
Yeah.
With at one point when you don't pick up maybe in the beginning of September when the weather is still hot, but you can pick up even end of October. The temperature drops and I'm still able to have a summer city.
Are there a lot of appellations, like old world appellations, that are starting to change that now then?
They do.
Like a lot? I didn't know that.
Champagne did.
Did they really?
Franciacorta did. Yeah.
Ah.
In Franciacorta they introduce a new grape, but they have a big problem about, the base wine, sparkling, they need to be acidity, with a lot of acidity, and they have a big problem because that land tends to be very hot. So they introduce this grape called Herba Mate just to boost the acidity.
Interesting, because they're so steeped in tradition. It's so surprising to hear that.
There are politicians in denial of climate change, not winemakers. Winemakers are already dealing with that.
Fair.
And, maybe not in terms of what am I expecting? There are in extremely hot vintages last year, 2 years ago in Lantalanga, where they make sparkling. They harvest in the second week of August, which
Wow.
is insane.
I know some
Insane.
of the grapes in Niagara were going through the reason like last.
Rosé are divided according to the time of maceration spent in contact with the must. The more time we spend in contact, the skin is spent in contact with the must, we have more color. And imagine like an appellation in Southern Rome, Savello, which actually exclusively makes rosé, but they are almost like these colors. Dark, almost like on the other side, we have like a very light pinky type of, which are characterized by Côte de Provence, not very light, straightforward. What are we having in this wine? This wine is, as I said, sending us a message. Is it saying to us, I'm Tavel or I'm more Côte de Provence? I'm more like very short skin contact or prolonged skin contact, even 20, 24 hours or even more?
Provence.
Definitely. Also, imagine like the difference, because in the second method, which is called the saignée or bleeding the tank, the purpose of the winemaker is to get rid of the first batch of, this skin contact in order to make a red, powerful red. So, imagine at what time, if the purpose is to make like another rosé, but like a more structured red, at what time I'm picking the grape? When they are more ripe or less? More. On the other side, if my purpose is just to make a rosé which is fresh, maybe I'm going to pick the grape at a lower stage when they are not fully ripe in order to boost the acidity, which is important. So, in this case, let's analyze the color. What are we having here? What type of color? Is very lightly pink.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a pale onion skin type of color, but like it's very pale, like almost like a skin.
Yeah.
Let's analyze also the legs. What are we expecting in this case? Are we expecting rosé that is full in body like Tavel, or we are expecting much more light and medium?
Huge in this, but sugar, it's gotta be from the sugar. Would it be? From the sugar? The legs seem to be.
They seem to be a little bit tighter than this one, but sure we are not expecting. Also, the time, you will see, if I have an Amarone, I swear the glass, they go slowly.
Yeah.
They go very slowly, because it's full of like glycerol, which is a syrup that is contained when you have like a certain.
It's present also in this wine. In this case, I'm not saying that it's watery, but we are not going into that level of wine.
The wine is very sincere, as was also in an opera. I think it's like Cavalleria Rusticana, where they say like beviamo il vino che è sincero. Like wine is kind of, it's not lying, okay? Like he's just telling us, I'm not an Amarone. Let's swear the glass. What are we having in terms of like a aromatic component? Of course, we are going to have something different, because in this case, they are actually vinified with a little bit of skin content, releasing color, also other flavor component, compared to this one, which is just a white skin grape. Light flower, a little bit of grapefruit, a little bit of like maybe cassis or something very light, like we are not getting a super aromatic component. This wine in my head is telling me I'm fresh, super refreshing, light. It's not telling me so many other things. That's right. I think also that in the nose we are expecting some fruit component which maybe we might expect, maybe as a little bit of sweet. One is right. Do you think that compared to this one is higher in alcohol or not?
Yes.
It is.
And how much?
0.5% more than the other. This is 13. The Côte de Provence is a blend. This one, usually the Grenache, Syrah, Cinsault are the most, famous like grape utilized for this very light skin content. It's almost the style, this type of rosé, not necessarily related to any terroir, but you will see those wines very similar, very fresh, very approachable, especially for aperitif. So where do you see this wine? In which type of food are we looking? We were talking about the first one, and you were telling me fish. You said scallops. Am I right? I will see this one with scallop, but maybe with something else.
Well, we had it with salad at lunch. Very good.
Delicious. Delicious. If I say shrimp, or if I say even a charcuterie board, this wine has good acidity. You know, maybe some type of a cheese, not necessarily aged, because maybe they require a different body, but like a soft cheese, fresh. I see this wine going very well. And,
It seems like these are they coming back? Like, I mean, I really enjoy, like the look of it too.
Yeah.
So, but 5 years ago, we weren't drinking this.
the world of wine is dictated by people who decide most of the time what is good for us to drink. And many times it was a disgrace. Like the rosé, they were almost forgotten until finally there is something new that is able to put back those wines on a radar. There are people now that are saying, oh, I only drink rosé champagne, which is good. This one, thank God, to Côte de Provence, finally they have this many rosé. They were actually made in a very oxidative way back in the days, so maybe this is why they didn't have a lot of success. Right. But finally, I find them very delicious.
Yeah.
Very delicious, refreshing, and not necessarily, almost complementary to a different way. Like we have in our discovery menu, we have a pairing with the trout, and we pair rosé very different from this one. Because the trout is actually cured, is actually smoked, and we need a rosé not as straightforward with more mineral component, which is this Italian Sangiovese made in Umbria, which according to us is a better choice compared to this one to be paired with the trout. So those are absolutely wine that I think they need, in order to be successful, they need to find the right location. And they need to find finally somebody who is able to push them. Finally, now, especially during summer, rosé are getting very popular. There is a reason not to drink rosé during winter time. We drink white during winter time. So why, I see the monopoly here almost importing all of those things for summertime. Why? It's a mystery. Anyway,
I was going to say Instagram. I see this on Instagram all the time.
And let's move now into this red, which is almost impossible for you to
guess what wine it is, unless you were there. I'm not going to tell you which country it's from.
Too feminine, even with the color of red. Red and blue, those are the two components. Red tends to be, if you have a red tint in a wine, usually are much more transparent. If I put my hand, I can see through. On the other side, the wine on the red side tends to be much more acidic than the other that goes much more into the blue, which are much more rich in color, in all of these phenolic elements, and also the acidity tends to be lower. Imagine a Malbec from Mendoza. Imagine a Cabernet Sauvignon from Napa. Those wines are supposed to be extremely powerful, low in acid, the color very inky.
Even your Amarone is.
Yeah. When I have Malbec, it's unfortunate that I don't have a mirror because it stays all over. If I have a mirror in a blind tasting, let me check. And I will guess it right away. Malbec for me is my wife always makes fun of me when I drink Malbec from Argentina because it's very powerful in color component, you know. Due to the high altitude of the vineyard, there is an explanation. You know, high altitude of a vineyard actually, you know, imagine like this wine stays in 800 meters. So it's really exposed to the sunlight. And what it does, the wine, what it does, what the grape do, in order to protect themselves, they get thicker. The skin gets thicker. In every place you visit, the more the grapes are higher in altitude, the thicker you have the grapes. So it's just a thing that like the grape does to protect, you know, itself.
So you're Amarone, because you're from like Passos. Like, are they not an Amarone grape?
It's a baby Amarone, and I will tell you why. Ripasso, imagine like so we are in Amarone basically it's a super powerful rich wine, you know, but it's also the method of production that makes this wine absolutely fuller in body. What they do, they pick up the grapes at a very high level of ripeness, then they put in this fruit dye, which are like those kind of like aerated rooms in where the grapes dry, so losing the water content. And you know, the less water content you have in a grape, the more the sugar content, and the less acidity you have. So you have a wine that is definitely going into this side, in the side of sugar, in the side of alcohol, in the side of like a structure. So what they do with the Ripasso, after they produce the Amarone, you know that Valpolicella, we have a base Valpolicella, Ripasso, and then we have the Amarone, okay? They keep whatever is left from the Amarone and they start a new fermentation with the base Valpolicella in order to boost a little bit like the structure of the Valpolicella. So
that's why they call it repot, like it's passing through again or something.
It's repassing through again. Exactly.
Yeah.
Ripasso is like I'm passing the Valpolicella, the base one which is light, in order to boost it with whatever is left from the Amarone.
So it's and that's why it's half the price.
Pretty much. Exactly. So in this case, we analyze the color. We say blue, low acidity, red. Imagine like on one side Malbec, on the other side Pinot Noir, Nebbiolo, Gamay, Beaujolais, Sangiovese. What are we having here? Are we having a Malbec? Are we having a Pinot? Or a grape that is more likely one closer to one of those?
I look at it as a Pinot.
We are definitely going there. So this guy is telling us, I'm not a Malbec, don't expect I'm super full body, I'm acidic for sure. We will see, because this wine is actually very, very intriguing in terms of characteristics, because it goes all over the place. You will see. Let's now analyze the legs and the alcohol component. We are not expecting a lot of alcohol, but check how many.
Oh, the legs are really slow.
Exactly. This is why I said you will see how many things are going on in this wine. This wine has an identity crisis. Because he's telling us I'm acidic, so I'm expecting it's light, but it's not. And maybe I say, oh, maybe it doesn't have like what is the bouquet? What is like a? So we possibly might expect a good amount of alcohol from this wine.
Just by looking at the tips. Let's rear the glass and check
犀利喎！佢真係
the aromatic
佢覺
component.
得酒精成分可能高啲喎。
What are we getting?
Red fruits, like berries, like maybe cherry, maybe cranberry, almost dried. We have a little bit of flower dried. Are we going in that direction? I think we're clearly going there. What is the nature of this flavor? It's fragrant. It's baked. It's.
What are we expecting? Start, like what are we getting? think we're getting some freshness, almost a herbaceousness, some fresh and tart flavor on the other side. And almost, yeah. It has a lot of spice component. I'm telling you, this wine is it's a total like it has so many things going on.
There's a lot of like intensity. It jumps out of the glass.
He has a good aromatic component. It's intense in terms of like how many flavor, and it's also persistent. How many flavor we are looking at? Like compared to the other two, which were very too pretty. This case, how many we mentioned? Already quite a lot.
Very compressed.
Let's try. In a red wine, we also measure the tannic,
飲落即係
which is in this wine, as I said, because he's affected by a total identity crisis, this guy. How do you rate the tannic? Is this wine tannic? It is. It is. It's definitely tannic. Yes, the tannic is usually the drier mouth.
Yeah.
And I got it. Like, you know, doesn't have the same effect of the Malbec, so this is why I like it more. but of course, there is a tannic component. How is the acidity of this wine? Is it a wine with a good acidity, or it is soft like an Amarone? I think he has acidity like.
Yeah, for sure.
He has a lot of acidity. What is the alcohol component? I think this wine has a good amount of alcohol. We saw it even with the beer. We saw that like we are expecting much less alcohol component, and instead he has more. We are expecting maybe not as much tannins. We are expecting almost like a Pinot, and instead it's tannic. So what is going on in this wine? It's absolutely very intriguing grape, which went on disgrace years ago. They were almost not producing anymore in my country, but finally they got much more attention. And now the name is called the Grignolino. It's produced in Piedmont. It's a little
Produced where, sir?
in Piedmont,
Okay.
where also is produced Nebbiolo, Pelaverga, Arneis. This is one of the grapes that actually, you know, can make the difference in the world of wine. I mean, otherwise we will always drink like a Pinot, but this is extremely flexible wine. I found it like a very intriguing. You can even slightly chill and have it like as a red. If that on a night like this you want to have a red more than a white. Extremely easygoing but complex. This is why we try to put on the radar for you like those. This is also available by the glass. But if we don't do that, nobody will buy those grapes. And you know, there are not only the 10 most drink grapes in the world that deserve attention. Italy has actually more than 600 grapes, more than Spain and France altogether. There are other countries like Greece and Portugal who deserve a lot of attention because they have a lot of indigenous grapes. And also because, you know, if a grape by act gets a lot of recognition, that means the price goes up. You imagine how much now you want to pay for a Pinot Noir or Burgundy. How much you want to pay? How much we are paying? Like for even a village appellation, we pay 60 plus, at least. This one is lower than like $25.
Really?
You like Nebbiolo, you like Barolo. How much are you gonna pay for? Before, when I came here in 2007, I was buying a Barbaresco or Barolo for $25. Now it's $60, $70. But if you know the grapes of Greece, you can go in a Ussa appellation and get a beautiful Sinonavero, which of course you're gonna like it if you like Nebbiolo.
And how much does it cost a Cinomavro now? You can find a good Cinomavro for $22, $23. So this is why, not because we are naive or because we have to, but in this case, because if you know what to buy, first of all, you save money, and also expose yourself to a different flavor, which maybe deserve attention, and maybe your palate can change. Palate is nothing, steady. You will see your palate switching most of the time. There are many things that when you're a kid you don't like it, and now you like it. How was your first sip of beer? I think it was one of the most horrible experiences for everyone. Like, bitter, maybe you try a very early stage of your life, and you say, Dad, this is bad. Like, it is. Now I think everybody drinks beer. Why? Because our palate
Everybody drinks.
That's true. But also because our palate changed. And also because the first time I had sherry in my life, I really didn't like it. It's my favorite wine. The first time I tried like a Nebbiolo, I found almost like a very difficult wine with a lot of tannins. My favorite wine. So this is why also expose yourself to many different flavors. Go into the vintage selector and say, okay, let's try this one from Portugal. Let's try this one from, you like Chablis. Maybe you're going to like Asiatico from Santorini or because it's extremely mineral. We're not going so far away. Be curious because those wines, finally, the LCBO was importing this wine years ago. Now they don't. They don't.
So can you get it? You can get it.
Wine
through
shop
our wine.
here. You can have it. There are some wine. I remember, I was working in a Italian restaurant and I put this one by the glass. But I trained the staff, to sell it. Everybody can say, you're crazy. I was not. In a proper situation, we, in 10 days, 5 cases of that wine were gone. Everybody was, because it was hot. The people, the staff was very well trained, not because of me, but they were very good also by themselves. I given a good way to sell this wine, and this wine was shining. Everybody was asking. Sometimes it's also the way we don't limit ourselves and play safe that actually makes the difference. So how do you see this wine also with what type of food?
I think it has a huge mixture of food. I mean, you can get away with lovely cheeses.
Yeah.
But you can get right into duck, and I think it would go with more greasy kind of.
It's dry. It has this almost umami savory flavor that comes out. We have a risotto verde at Langdon. Me and Jose, most of the time we suggest this wine. I think he also can go very well with tartare. We have a real tartare. It is very flexible because he has a lot of components that you can actually use to make the pairing. And it's very unique in terms of flavor because clearly it's not a Pinot, clearly it's not a Nebbiolo, but he has his own identity, which is in deep crisis. But there is, you can recognize this wine as with a very distinctive flavor.
You have to remember that people, the agriculture was not necessarily built.
三隻我最中意呢隻，其實三隻都唔中意，但係呢隻你咧？ 你同我一樣，我都係中意飲呢隻。你中意糖，你唔中意好似 mini 調翻轉 ，mini 係中意食呢隻，最唔中意。
And of course, I found it a very, very, very good to have it by the glass because it gives you a lot of option also for people who wants to have something as a white, but maybe they might want to feel like a red. And you are not going too much with power. He has a lot of questions. If you have any questions, like, are you dining with us tonight? Like,
We are.
Yeah.
you can finish actually. I'm gonna leave it here if you want.
This one,
I got one
even
in my
though
room.
it's tannic and there's acidity, it's very clean on your palate after you drink it.
Yeah, it's difficult from this grade. Well, actually, this was the first wine that I had when I was a kid. You know, I remember because like I love it from the beginning, and after there was it was completely forgotten. Now, even with another grape that now finally got a lot of attention, is called Arnais. It got forgotten also because it's extremely difficult to cultivate this grape. It gives a lot of headache in the vineyard. So this is why winemakers are saying, like, there are other grapes that are much more productive. This is low production. And at that time, back in the days in Italy, you have to remember that, like, people, the agriculture was not necessarily built in order to produce quality wines. After phylloxera, many grapes actually were lost, and the one grape was actually mostly used to replant, which was Barbera. Why they use Barbera? Because Barbera is extremely not very problematic on the vineyard, and it's very productive. So they can produce more and sell more grapes, or eventually bulk wine, to the market. And this was their way of thinking back in the days.
Mm-hmm.
So this is also why you find Barbera even in Campania, in the south of Italy, which is our grape. It's a grape from the north. But it's there because as being extremely productive, people can say, okay, I'm going to produce more so I can sell more and I can make more money. So I love Barbera. After also now it's being produced in a way that is, in a quality way production, finally they got recognition. But before, table wine that, was in every osteria, in every place, and people were drunk everywhere because of Barbera. It's the most responsible grape for every hangover that you had in Italy back then.
Last time we were there, we couldn't believe you could buy wine for like €2.
Yeah.
And then we bought it and realized, it tastes like €2.
And you never got a headache.
No, never. No.
Well, at least I never got it.
I'm studying now a book which basically is the neuroscience applied into wine, where all of these things are actually, interacting on the way you are judging wine. And when I go to Liguria, sometimes, we have as a family, we have a little apartment there. We go on the seaside. We go there, and I buy wine for 1.5 or €2, and it's very delicious. First, you pay €2. Yeah. If you pay 10, you will be disappointed. But you pay 2 and you're happy. Also, it's also the contest, which is less pretentious. You go there, you don't want to think about anything else, so your mindset is already prone to for a different way of tasting. Imagine here, back home, you have problematic kids or everything coming out. Even if you open a good bottle of wine, you're not tasting it. But is the wine or is also all the environment? There are. Just to give you an example, in biodynamic technique, which is very extreme in the vineyard, there is a calendar where it is dividing the day in earth day, sky, flower. And based on, which day it is, you're not supposed to drink wine or you're supposed to drink wine. Because there are better days to drink wine according to the biodynamic science than others. So, is it true? I don't think so, or maybe not. But it's undeniable that now majority of the best wine in the world are biodynamic. there is something true in this, you know, they even rank the wine according to the phases of the moon. I spoke years ago to a producer, said, oh no, today I'm not doing because the moon. I said, the moon? Sure. That was the moon, interesting. You know, and it was, I tried this wine, they are epic, memorable. So, it's crazy, but not how many things in life we are not able to explain, but they happen anyways. So, this guy makes absolutely incredible wine, but it's crazy. So, like,
there's like a couple producers closer to where we're from that were calling themselves biodynamic, but I don't like pause but like I kind of question how authentically like biodynamic they are. Are there like different places in the world where they follow it more religiously?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Taz is here.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's also in France. There too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And some of you carry some of the Taz wines here, but from France rather than from Canada.
In Italy, we call also, even to reinforce what you were saying, the Malvasia di Bosa syndrome. Malvasia di Bosa is a wine that is can be a little bit discontinuous in terms of quality in Sardinia. You are in Sardinia, you know, imagine like on a patio with one of the most beautiful seaside in the sea in the world, like you are there sipping the wine. So you go back to the, you like the wine, you love the wine, you go back to the winery, you buy the cases, you bring it home, you open, and it tastes bad. And what happened? What happened? But this is how maybe other factors are interplaying with your way of tasting, and it actually can be true. Like, you know, the circumstances under we do certain things can actually play a big role in them. The way we do it. And,
probably like glassware as well.
Glassware,
a psychological thing.
Oh, glassware, but like everything, like glassware, the color we choose, everything. Music, like the environment, like
都有講究嘅，犀利。
Yeah.
我完全可以
Well, it makes sense
可以
because
再
wine
去
is
好
such a sensory experience. So if you go beyond, like you said, what's in the glass, it's like this is all sensory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So this is also why. Also, it was proved that like, under different circumstances, some were rated good wine or bad wine, the same wine. How is it possible? We are not trying to put, you know, when you see sommelier, it seems like, oh, has to be under X-ray, this one has to be always the same. It's not. It's not.
And it's not the price points either anymore. We found that out when we went away, and you know, I thought you had to have you had to spend a certain amount of money to get a decent bottle of wine, and we're having a beautiful dinner, beautiful wine, and I said, wow, and it was like, what, $29 or something like that. What the heck? Like, what am I doing? So I gotta get a reevaluation.
In my country, it's also the way they charge, which is much less than here. Because here, you know, if I tell you how it is, like you're gonna be shocked compared to. And then the restaurant charges, like you know, it's insane.
Yeah, and you're drinking local wines in France or in Italy, and you're not paying all those duties and taxes and tariffs.
Yeah, exactly. So it's an interesting topic, even that. But so like taxes, where we're going to play in the environment situation. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
I hope you're not going to have in my section tonight. I have to get ready also for dinner. And, but you can stay here if you want, and I will be back. Like if you want to finish some of those.
Good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. No.
其實我都聽唔明啊！佢不停喺度講啲地名同埋啲酒嘅品種，哇！完全唔知有發生嘅咩。邊度唔使嘅。